So they're on notice every day that they might not be able to take your kid because they might not be able to meet ratios. Which is not their fault.
Right, but that's stressful when you're, gotta get to work.
Oh, everyone loves hearing their own voice.
I know. Okay. So we are live. Got it.
All right, so good evening, everyone. I'll call the December 12th meeting of the Bethlehem Public Library Board to order. Jeff, do we have any public participation?
No.
No, okay. The minutes draft was circulated after our last meeting, and they're in the board packet on pages 2 through 7. Are there any corrections or amendments to the regular meeting minutes?
I just wanted to know if there's the regular meeting minutes and then right after there's the special meeting. So there's 2 of them. Okay, thanks.
Right, if there are no corrections or amendments, I'll need a motion to accept the meeting minutes from November 14th.
So
All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion carries. And on page, sorry, I didn't write down the
Yeah.
7. All right, on page 7, we have minutes from a special board meeting. We have those held on November 28th. And so, well, are there any corrections or amendments to those?
And just an explanation, there were, that's actually the personnel committee, but since there were 4 board members there, we had to have actually listed as a meeting, just in case the public had it.
Okay, so I need a motion to accept the meeting minutes from November 28th. So moved.
I'll second it.
Motion carries. All right, so the next item on the agenda is a financial report.
Scroll up a little something like that. I like to look at the.
Further than this, okay.
I
Can
actually,
you tell me where you want this?
because I might need to refer to it. I don't know. That's good. That's good.
And Jeff, we can hit the plus button once, see how big that gets. One more time, thank you.
Okay, so on the revenue side, we've received about 4.2 million in tax revenue from the school district, which represents about 96.5% of the total budget. So we're right where we need to be at this point in time. We've also received over 231,000 in pilot payments, which actually exceeded the budget by a little bit, about $3,600. Expenses are right now tracking at about 3% under budget. We did pay some one-time expenses in November, including the retirement bill, which was approved at the meeting last month, and also the longevity payments. Salaries are tracking even with last year at this time at about 3% under budget. On the cash and investments summary, which is up on the screen right now, you'll see that we moved $50,000 from the general bank account to the capital project fund, so that we have funds available in the capital project fund to pay the architect's fees. This money comes from the surplus. It doesn't affect the budget. And it's a way to, what we want to be able to do is track all of the expenses related to this project, whether we do it or not, in one place. It'll be a lot easier to report on and determine that expense. And it's actually a requirement if we do go forward with the capital project, that we have to keep it in a separate fund.
That was gonna be my question, if I wanted, so at some point, if we approve a project and a certain amount of that surplus or the fund balance is going to be not set aside or used to defray some of the costs that might otherwise be bonded, that large amount of money would then at that time be transferred into the capital, that,
Right,
okay, great.
that's right, that's right. And if we go out for a bond and we get that revenue, that money will go into the capital projects fund.
Thank you.
And we'll be able to track the bond payments as well as all the expenses for the project.
Great, thank you.
And the other thing I wanted to note on this is you'll see that the investments that we made in November appear on the schedule. If you remember, we took out a 3-month CD with TD Bank and a 6-month CD, so you can see those numbers there. And I will just note on the revenue and expense report, we're showing already $20,000 in interest income. On a budget of, we budgeted 6,500 because, you know, we didn't know. Who knew what interest rates were gonna do? So I don't know if anybody has any, oh, I guess one other thing, if you want to scroll a little more. On the warrants, there you do see a notation that says see attached schedule or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it says.
Detailed report. It's a
Detailed
detailed
report, yes, right. And that just refers to the fact that some payments that we make are made up of multiple purchase orders. A good example is Amazon. You know, multiple people throughout the library are ordering things through Amazon, and each separate order is a separate purchase order. So that's all that means, and it's just a change that was made in the system several months back. In the past, what appeared was the purchase order number for the very first purchase order, even though there might be multiple ones behind it. So that's all that refers to.
So it's just a general question. This is public record. If someone were to say, I want to see those, like that detailed report, would someone from the public be able to see that? You know?
You know, we would have to run a report and we can.
Right, but upon request, you could.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Does anybody have any questions about any of the reports?
I have a question about the materials. And the library materials, I think it was tracking it was under 30%. I think I forget what line it was, sorry.
Yeah, right there. I think it's there.
And so just want to ask Jeff, you plan on spending the entire amount that's not
Yeah,
underspent or over budgeted?
yes, so that, you wanna field or you want me to
You're
go?
good, you're good. This,
I will say that part of that materials line, we had a reimbursement from the town. That kind of that we billed for the PEG issues, the materials, it was laptops and stuff, because that's in there. The materials lines, you have electronic, and that summary includes all of that stuff. I'm looking at page. The revenue and expense report, and if you look down at under library materials, print, library materials, that encompasses pretty much everything. So there are some things, electronic and audio, some of our equipment that we've purchased, and then the town reimbursed us about $10,000 for some of that electronic stuff that we coded to. We expensed in a certain line. Do you know what I mean? So the revenue came in and we put it back in that. So it looks like we didn't spend it, but we did. We just got reimbursed for.
So the percentage looks lower than.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And the other thing about material, especially books, which is the bulk of this, is we pre-pub order everything. So we're 4 to 6 months in advance on our orders. So we actually use an acquisition system in our online circulation system that tracks those encumbrances.
Okay.
And then in our financial system, what you're getting are the expenses.
Expenses.
So we know, we keep track, we're watching the encumbrances of what we know is coming all through the winter and spring.
comparing it to the budget,
Correct.
so you know you're on budget, or you know you've got money.
And then as we come into the end of the year, we slow down our ordering. We don't stop because some things are too important, you know, gotta have Patterson. But a lot of stuff comes to us, we slow down at the end of the year. And then that takes Tanya and Sherry a little time to get it moved into the last fiscal year,
Mhm.
even if, as we go into July. So it always looks a little bit underspent materials because we're 4 to 6 months.
Right, you had mentioned that before, so basically the encumbrances is greater than they expect.
By a lot.
Okay. got it.
Yeah, because we're, the authors they're announcing out pre-pub and we have to put this stuff on, there, so we know the money's spent. And so we're always, it seems like we're holding back, but we know the money's gonna go.
Thank you.
But yes, absolutely, my intention is
Yeah.
every dime of that gets spent.
And a lot more of those funds are encumbered right now as.
Yes.
As opposed to expended.
Yes, and they're not encumbered in the financial system, they're encumbered in the circulation
Ordering and
system.
stuff. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, I'll need a motion to accept the financial report on pages 8 through 16.
So move.
Second. Caroline. All right, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the personnel report on page 17.
Oh, it's getting more and more interesting. Okay, navigate my way to page 17. Oh, okay, so now we gotta shrink her down a little bit. Here we go. All right, there we go. All right, so we were able to fill in a wonderful way, we were able to fill our full-time librarian position. So the part-time librarian position that I was asking for last month, I'm removing from consideration. So that's part of what you'll be voting on today is that we don't need this. We were able to, one of our part-time librarians, who is an experienced children's librarian, was interested in moving to full-time. And so we're going to move her as this person right here. We're going to move her into a full-time position. Unfortunately, it leaves us with a gap. Next month, you'll see me requesting a backfill for the Friday night part-time position. I would never not promote somebody who's good, just because I like them to fill that Friday night position, but the Friday night position is hard for us to fill. So we'll be back. We solve a big problem and give ourselves a medium-sized problem. But overall, this is a big win for us to be able to. So we're happy for her to come on board, and she starts early next month. The two backs, so that's all that business upstairs. Backfills that I'm asking for, we have another full-time librarian, one in technical services time, not in public services. You hear a lot about the librarians in public services. This is our cataloger who is retiring this week. Tomorrow is her last day, so she's retiring, so we're requesting to backfill the cataloging position, and then we have a full-time library assistant in public services who is leaving the library, and we'd like to backfill that position as well.
Okay, are there any questions on the personnel report?
I have one.
Yeah.
How long was that for a person part-time before? But who just pulled in, slotted into a full-time? How long were they working in the library for?
Well, she used to work for the library a long time ago. In the most recent time, it's 4.5 months.
It's not about the report directly, and I was interested in seeing if we had something that showed us like who was in what positions, not just open positions, but if we had like a graph or a flow chart showing who was in what position.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Okay.
In progress.
Okay, I know we had talked about it off
Yeah.
the top, but like,
Yeah, and so while we're here in personnel, I'm going to introduce all of you to Jen, who is the library's confidential secretary. You've been seeing emails from her, so you will continue to see those. And actually, she had said the same thing to me when she was talking about, she was trying to learn everybody in the organization. She said it would be great for me to have names attached, so we're going to work on that, or chart with names now.
That'd be good to send to everybody, because I think I got one when I stayed, became a member, but I think it's changed.
Yeah, a lot.
Alrighty, so,
Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
I do, because we have.
A motion to approve the personnel.
So what you're approving is the backfill of these two, the full-time librarian, the part-time librarian, and the removal of this part-time librarian one position.
okay, so I'll need a motion to accept the personnel report on
Thank you.
page 17. Lisa, second. Caroline. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Right, and the next item is the director's report, starts on page 18.
Now, normally we roll into the UHLS report, but there wasn't a meeting.
No meeting.
No meeting last. So that's why we left it off the agenda. It wasn't
Yes.
because we didn't want to give
No,
you a spot.
They
So,
didn't, they didn't meet this month. It was a little break.
so let's roll in. We actually had a chance just this weekend to see our new snowplow contractor. Kevin's very, very happy with the work that they were able to do out there. They tried to come through Sunday, unfortunately, and I know, Charmaine, you were here. Tried to come through. It didn't, before the library opened, there was no snow. And then it started to snow and he came through and he's like, there's 50 cars in the parking lot. I can't get into the spots because there were cars here, but he came through, did a run through and then threw some salt down, tried to keep the parking lot. And then they came through in the middle of last night and cleaned up the parking lot. And Kevin was very pleased with the work that they did this morning to get us ready to open. So that's good.
And so we also closed, right? We closed early
4
on Sunday
Yeah.
at 4. And when do we usually close on Sundays?
5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was just, it was a call to try to figure out, the reports were that the roads in Delmar were pretty slick and to get everybody home in the light. That's that.
They weren't plowing very much.
That's what we had heard. There wasn't a lot of salt and there wasn't a lot of.
Like, wow, not touching that.
So, it's hard to make that call sometimes, but it just seemed for an hour,
Right.
it seemed like. Just keeping up to date on Ashley McGraw, we have that meeting on Thursday, that's open to the public, that's 6 p.m. Thursday, we'll be right back here in that room. That will be there, we'll talk more about the architects. We're adding a new database, starting next year, it's just a military history, a genealogical database. I just want to highlight the Bethlehem Historical Association partnership that we've had, some very popular, this Barnes Hudson Valley is a very popular class, and that partnership continues to bear fruit. We're very pleased with that partnership.
I did wonder because I noticed that they mentioned more than once that they wanted more people in the room. The limits on the room are based on what exactly, which room were they in, the community?
Community room, so that's it's the fire code limit.
Oh, so they had that many people in? I thought it was maybe a 6-foot.
No, we're not doing any of that. There were only 50 or something people. I took that out from my report. There were
I think
50.
the program that had the barn was almost at 80.
Yeah, okay, so it's getting close to 90. Yeah, but we've had 90.
80?
Yeah,
I think it was like 76, if I remember
thanks,
correctly.
Chris.
That's a
So,
good program.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
we're bumping right up on the fire code capacities. We're
Yeah.
not holding those restrictions below that.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it's really up to people and their individual healthcare choices now. We're kind of happy to be out of that business. Lots of great programs. You'll see from the numbers that our program attendance and programs are up, which has been a goal of mine. And special thanks to the public services staff for coming up with lots of great and creative programs. Yeah, the wreath workshop, we had those willows hanging around in the library for a while. I think we needed some more time to collect some of those natural products, but willow branches are stinky. I don't know if you know that when you have them, it doesn't seem like they'd have a smell, but they do. We had them hanging around the story hour for a while. So lots of popular family story times. Again, we just keep tracking. We added 2 sessions to make sure that some folks are like a more lightly attended program, but that second session continues to be extremely lightly attended. And we're not, closing out that first session. We're not bumping up against it. So we'll just continue to watch that. I'd like to offer a second time, but we have to offer what we offer based on use. So listening parties, we had a little Sunday music. The second one was just on my Sunday, which was great. And the punch team candle shade was nice, but a lot of work. We continue to see a lot of good outreach. This month was a little bit lighter than October. We were very, very heavy on outreach. It was all the trunk or treats. So we were seeing our attendance in the thousands, a little bit lighter this month. But we will be attending first night. Lauren from Public Services is attending the planning. Chris and I will be down there representing the library on New Year's Eve till it's early. It ends at 7.
6 to 7:30.
6 to 7:30, something like that. So we'll be down there. We'll have a couple booths, weather dependent. We'll try to have a photo booth, and we'll be handing out some other fun goodies for folks down there and just waving the library flag. So
Before you go to circulation,
you got it.
what are the fall teen book boxes?
So that's where we started that during the pandemic, where we put it's like a subscription box. For our teens, we put some books and a couple other little goodies in there. And then people ask to have their team signed up and then they come to the library and pick it up.
Okay, and so information about that is in footnote?
Footnotes, yep,
Okay.
yeah. And
Okay.
it's popular. I think it was during the pandemic, it was one of our major ways to engage with teens. They weren't here. And so we were trying to engage them in some ways. I'm not sure. Well, anyway, it's very popular. The people who get them like them, of course, because they get books that they get to keep. Who doesn't like that? It's great. So
That first night thing, I'm not sure if it's possible to do it budget wise. But having done the trick or treat thing where we're giving kids glow sticks and things like that, which is always fun. I wonder if you could give kids a little book. I don't know, like not like a book,
Sure.
but like something with some pages,
we love handing out books.
Huh?
We love handing out books.
I don't know how inexpensive you could get, like even a tiny paperback thing. But I don't know. Imagine a kid starting the new year with it.
Awesome. So they're down at Four Corners.
Maybe collaborate with, I don't know, or just the.
So what we can do is, Kristen has created coupons that says free book.
Oh, there you
Because
go.
it's harder for us to do outreach, dragging all the books out there for kids to
A
select.
coupon sounds great.
So what we do is we give them a coupon, then they come to visit the library and they can pick out what book they want.
There you go.
So we can easily do that.
That's a win. Gets people to the library and, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. That's why we gotta have Chris. Similar, our active user count and circulation is very similar to pre-pandemic. Door count continues to be about 2/3 of what we expect, but that is rising, which makes me happy. Again, thank you all for Staff Development Day. There's a couple of thank you notes from the staff for dessert. Thank you for dessert, very well appreciated. Thank you for.
Oh, is that what this is?
Yeah, those are.
And how was the response to the speaker? Because it was about genealogy, correct?
No, she was talking about the why of life.
Okay.
Getting to that sort of getting to why do we do this? Why are we here? Why libraries? And it was actually very heartening, I think, to hear the staff talking about why they're here, what their most sort of heartfelt stories were, and I think Amanda's a great speaker. So and let me see, we got, I did go out and talk to a seniors group at the Bethlehem Lutheran Church on November 17th. I was invited to talk about unexpected things at the library. And I think they thought I was going to come in and talk all about technology. I didn't. So we are pushing on our home delivery service, books to people. And I'm getting that out as much as we can in the community. Frequently, I'm not talking to the people who need it, but I'm talking to people who might know somebody who needs it. And I still think it's an underutilized service. So we're making each of those subscribers to that service by hand. And then I let them know that, oh, does this sound interesting to have a librarian pick out a bunch of books for you? Well, you can get a book bundle and you don't have to have it delivered to home. So that's there. And then I have a few questions as well. It's December. So always in December, I get questions about the displays and exhibits policy, what the library does and does not allow as a library for our displays, versus what the community allows, what is allowed to display on the public display space that's in front of the murals and the 2 glass cases, and then the art walls. Right. So those are public display spaces where the library is not endorsing anything. That's just places for the community to be able to display their displays. But the library stays well and truly out of anything but seasonal displays. So.
I think that's consistent across all the libraries.
No.
Region.
No. So, and not to get,
Wondered.
I don't want to belabor this. I don't know how many folks were here in '96. This library got used as an object lesson for this exact subject when I was in library school. So, from '86 to '96, there was a lot of contention about the library as it was decorated for Christmas, like explicitly decorated for Christmas inside the library. And that was the library put a blue ribbon mission together involving all sorts of community stakeholders. They came through And after months came up with effectively what is our displays and exhibits policy, that there is a place for people, for the community to display in the library, in front of the murals, in the glass cases, and the art exhibits. That's what's there. Now that has since 96, I came in 2000, still very contentious at that point, or still a hot button issue. There was lots of displays. The interest in displaying in the library, I think, has waned. The interest in displaying in December has waned. But still, people are still a little interested in and question about why is the library displaying or not displaying anything? Those are, if you read the little sign on there, the library doesn't make those displays. So if you get any questions about that, the library is making the displays. Those are public displays in areas inside the library that are declared.
Is it worth reiterating that? And what they'll say around.
Maybe to say, hey,
Since I know that you get letters every year, I know that I get questions every
Yeah.
year, and I know there's a really good answer for it. One that I wholeheartedly agree with, but I don't know if maybe we put it in the note, the fall, but.
get out ahead of them a little bit in September.
By the way, on the holidays. If you, and knowing that it'll be taken, in whatever displays will likely be taken for holiday season in 2023. It's like, if you'd like to sign up for holiday season 2024, here's your
It's an
chance.
open slot right now.
I was gonna say, I think there's only two of them.
There's only two out there. Right, so we actually moved the photocopier out of the way so that we can have the two displays that we have, and I moved the photocopier. We have the third space. Anyway, it's a continuous source of questions, so I just like to read that. Lots of good program attendance numbers here. Our number of programs up. Number of programs and attendance up significantly. We'd like to see that for November. Nice gains in circulation, 13% increase in adult fiction overall, about 8% increase in circulation compared to last year. And again, brings us closer and closer to where we were in 2019. So we're actually doing very well on circulation. Door count, you'll see me harping on about here, door count up 21% over last year, up to about 15,000. But again, that's about 2/3 of where I would expect for a circulation number that we had, what the door count would be. So those two numbers, which used to be very closely tied, if you told me what the door count was, I would give you the circulation to within 3%. They used to be, every person that came in checked out 0.6 books. That's the way it worked. But that is not the way it's working right now. So those two things are unhooked, and we continue to monitor that. Other than that, some great increases in sort of programs. You see the program use space is up significantly. These are our in-house programs. Study room sessions are coming back. So you've heard me talking about how studying has been less in the library lately, increasing. So we like to see those numbers going up. And then again, some softening on e-materials, except for e-audiobooks, which continue to be up. And then some nice increases in wireless use. Here's your electric use graph. The use, I put this up because we'll talk at some point in the near future about the price of the utilities has gone up significantly, but the use of our utilities is absolutely right in the blue line is this year, this light blue line. So we're right in where we have been on electrical use since the HVAC upgrade. Similarly, gas use since the HVAC upgrade, we're right in either low or normal in our use. So that's it's a per unit cost of utilities that is increasing, not necessarily our use of utilities. So it's largely beyond our control. Here's the gas and electric. These are the costs per unit for gas and electric. So this is our total cost. You can see we're up a lot, not the apparently very expensive days of 2008, but inching back up there. And gas use just continues to be, gas prices are up, but it's not as significant. Most of the cost of our utilities is driven by electrical costs. So that's a very long-term, 2007 to 2020. That's a long-term electrical gas cost, which I think is important. I just did state of the library for the staff, so we were doing a lot of graphs and charts. So I thought that was a good one to bring up.
And I was just gonna mention, I'm sorry, I missed it when you were scrolling through your pages,
Yeah.
but I read that you were adding fold 3
Yes.
to for library patrons, and I want to thank whoever came to you with that
Yeah.
suggestion, because that is a great program. My husband uses that quite a lot, and it's a wonderful way to learn about ancestors in the military, and yeah, really, I was like, wow, when I
Yeah.
saw that we were gonna do that, that's great.
Frank, when you looked at it, there were a couple sort of newspaper databases that he was looking at, and that really the costs were astronomically out of what we thought the use would be. But Fold 3 was right in that sweet spot and is a really good supplement to our Ancestry and Heritage Quest. And then the nice part about Fold 3 is you can use it from home on like Ancestry. So you can use Fold 3 with your library card, you can use it from home. So it's a good database. So yeah, excited about that.
I just had someone question about the story walk in the park. It's still like a fall themed story. And I was like, oh, okay, I don't know. So are we updating that seasonally, or is it like just gonna be what it is through winter, or?
It's on my list, yes.
There you go. This is-
Like to give another shout out, I think we talked about this last meeting, to the new toys as well, right? Yes.
Okay, awesome.
And I have witnessed many other big ones.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we're happy to have them back, and yeah, as soon as we put something out. So it's good, thank you.
Well, and we had talked about like, I don't know if it did anything, but like after it was posted on the library's page, I like reshared it to the Bethlehem Moms group. It's like new toys, yeah, so.
Just heard about, what was it, Chris had huge light bright.
Oh,
I want a huge light bright.
it was really cool. I did a big tour of the library in Missoula, and it was there last week.
Yeah, giant, remember the light bright, we put the pegs in them, imagine the pegs.
Like a two-sided thing.
Mm.
Kids were all over it.
Chris is like, oh no. All right, so that's it, unless there's other questions.
Okay, so in next order of business is building project committee.
So mostly here, I'm just going to report that there have been meetings with the staff, and as we brought, there is a meeting coming up with the trustees. For anybody watching out in the ether, this is a good opportunity to project. This will be the first interaction between the trustees and our architects as they try to put together their report for the feasibility study. So that's this Thursday, 6 p.m., but it'll be recorded and streamed out live, and then also available for viewing later.
I assume they're gonna share some of what they heard and what their process has been. But they're looking for input also from the trustees.
I think yeah, because when I had a conversation with Suzanne, who's our contact, I said, you know, the trustees were invited to the staff, because mostly those meetings were geared towards the staff. Staff could have their input about what was going on in the library. And I said, I think the trustees are interested in having their opinions heard about what they think. So I think that's what this meeting is going to be about. So they'll run through the same little, I'm imagining, similar exercise to what we did with the staff, is they want to make sure that they're hearing what you want as far as the buildings as they put this first step of a feasibility study together. But it's also a good opportunity for anybody who is interested in what the library is doing as far as the building is concerned, to sort of get it on the ground floor.
So under new business, we have notary services.
Yes, so we have had some recent incidents where, so we offer notary, so we have one person in the building who's a notary. And they are not available, that's not their primary job. And then some of the patrons, you know, we advertise that this is a service that we do, but it is a catch as catch can on, you know, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday at best. And then not all the time that they're not available in order to be able to do the notarizing. So because of the patrons' attitudes on this, they've expressed some interest in not being a notary. We're not offering it in this way. We're not providing notary services here. So basically, we had brought this up with a previous board years ago. We looked at offering classes to the librarians and sending them out, offering them the chance to go out and become notaries. And then it was the insurance of that I think was prohibitively expensive, or viewed as prohibitively expensive, about $140 a year per notary to provide the liability insurance for doing that service. So depending on how many people we up on that offer, that expense could get higher, not infinite, but could be higher. And so I guess what I'm looking for from the trustees is this something we want to offer? To try to, gauge interest among the staff to see if we can send people off to become notaries. And which the library would pay for, and then we would cover them in their insurance. And then there's some other housekeeping that we have to do in order to make that work. Is that something that's of interest? Is that a service that's of interest to the community? And that's why I'm asking the trustees. Or is it just something that we should just stop doing altogether? 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, town hall is right across the street. There's lots of notaries at the town clerk's office. It's a service that's available. I think it's a convenience, but it's not necessarily core business for what we do here. Some people really like that the library offers it, a few people. It's a reasonably popular service, but there's a couple people for whom it's very popular. And imagine not gonna be happy about that, but I don't think we should offer the service. We either need to offer the service or not. We need to cover it. I think the utility of it would be nights and weekends, having that available on hours that we're open, that the other sources of notary services are not available, or we just don't offer it. Because the contention is coming from the fact that we can't offer this service consistently, just because of schedule. So.
Well, to address the consistency, could you say that notary services are only available by appointment? And then you
We
can
probably-
still offer it, but.
But I think the person who is offering the notary service is no longer interested.
Well, right, I guess, I mean, if there's a
Yeah,
new
if we-
person.
yeah.
Could you at least take off that negative by saying, now you can only have notary services by appointment? Also, my other question was, we offered it for free, correct?
Correct.
The library did. So does the town offer it for free?
My belief is that they don't.
Okay, so I think we're the only one in the community that offers it for free. I personally have used the notary services here and was very thankful that the library had it. I know it pops up frequently on that old Delmar neighborhood site. Where can I find notary services? Does anyone know? So I think it's a great service that we're able to provide. Anyone else has experience?
Yeah, no, I completely back that up. I think it's a great service. I might have some bias because I might have things notarized more than others, but I think having it be free is tremendous. And I think the way that we can possibly maximize our value to the community is, as you said, nights and weekends, that's clutch. And maybe we have, one day during the week where it's available, and then we have a Saturday or or weekend time where it's available, whatever.
Right, I'm imagining if we get enough people to be able to cover the nights and weekends, the daytime just comes part and parcel.
Yes, because you can get
You're
it.
gonna get the folks on the
But
weekend.
I think that's tremendous value, and I also think that it supports. I think one of the most unexpected places for people where they have to get things notarized is if you're working on a campaign of some kind, especially a local campaign, and I think that kind of echoes the library's support of community involvement and kind of the speech and all the things that go with a political campaign. If we could support that for free and make that available at common times, I think that'd be great.
Okay.
So if you mentioned insurance and then you said something about a class, how much does the class cost?
I haven't looked at it, and they were offered, it was free through Upper Hudson to offer the class, but that class hasn't been offered again in the past 3 or 4 years. So we could have passed on the opportunity 5 or so years ago to do that because of the concerns about the cost of the insurance.
Okay.
So there's some cost to the class. I can talk with Upper Hudson to see if that's something they'd be interested in offering again, or we could just look at that.
Because I could definitely support the 140 a year, I assume, per person.
Per person, yeah.
Up to a certain number, but I'd be interested to get just data on how much the class
You
might
got it.
cost, or if we can get it
Okay.
before I make a final decision. But I would support having it unless it has some kind of prohibitive cost, like financial.
Yeah, I think the concerns were about the ongoing cost of the insurance. I mean, stamp costs and all of those costs are they're kind of fixed and minor. The biggest ongoing cost was the insurance. So if that's hearing, that's something that.
I'd like to continue the service, but I need more information.
You got it. Okay. I will support that. Good, thank you.
Okay, so public photocopiers.
Great, and equally amorphous question. So our vendor, we have our public photocopiers offered in a very unusual, I think, way. So the contract is that the vendor that we have places the copiers there, owns them, services them, supplies everything to run them, and then collects the money and traditionally has sent us a commission. That commission process has broken down post-pandemic. So that's what started our investigation. Tanya is not here. We said, hey, we haven't been getting these checks lately from our vendor. What's going on? So we asked them, they are getting out of the business. In fact, the person who comes to collect the coins is being laid off at the end of the month. So they're out of the business. So they're out of the coin op business totally. What they're doing is at some point in December, I will be handed the key to the coin boxes. They are giving us the machines free and clear. So we have 2 machines and 2 coin boxes that are now belong to the library, and we will run them. They will not offer us a service contract for the machines because they are older. If we want to have them serviced, we would be paying this company time and materials, just straight time and materials to come and service our machines. Not awesome. I liked it the way it was before. We didn't pay anything. We didn't pay for toner, we didn't pay for service, we didn't pay for paper. But apparently that's not a lucrative business. So they want to offer us in place is a photocopier that will allow for mobile and credit card payments only, no cash. So while that works for some people, from my personal opinion, it's not an awesome solution because we have a lot of people who don't have credit cards or mobile payments. So another proposal is to have the library purchase photocopier, a photocopier, put it inside near the information desk, inside the library, make it available, and then have people on our system, just as they do with printing, like they do now with printing. So people print out at the computers and they come up to the checkout desk and they pay for their photocopies. One option. So we could go with first of all, we don't have to make any decisions tonight because sometime in December, we'll just be managing a photocopy machine for as long as they run, which I'm guessing is 0 days, but may not be forever.
Somewhere between 0 and
90 days on average, because usually when they have some sort of issue and die before they have to come out and be serviced. So
I'm trying to remember, is this the issue that Mark sent a late email about, like how?
yeah, how much?
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of that data I don't have again because we don't collect. But I have some good data. So in 17-18, our commission was $1,182 for photocopying. Total print revenue, so that's including the printing that we do at the computers, was $7,800. So about $1,100 of $7,800 total for printing and photocopying. It's the same line. In 18-19, there was $1,066 collected to the library, and we total revenue of $8,400 for printing total. And then in 1920, which only goes a little ways into just barely into 2020, $614 collected of $5,700-ish in total revenue from printing. So now keep in mind that the commission we get on printing is like profit, right? That's the commission on the printing. That's basically a reimbursement for us having them plugged into the outlet. And so we fly electricity and floor space. Whereas the total print revenue includes everything we receive from printing, but does not include the expenses of toner cartridges and paper that we supply and printers that we supply for printing from the computers. But most of our printing business comes from those printers, not from the photocopiers. I don't know if that's helpful, but that's the data that I have.
And so currently the policy with printing at the computers is just someone prints out however many, if there's a machine somewhere that I haven't used this.
Yeah, so there's a printer right next to the computer.
Oh, right next to the
Print,
computer,
print.
okay,
Take your prints up, go to the checkout desk, bring it to the register.
okay, with cash or credit card, does it not matter?
We can do it.
Okay, so the process already exists.
Yes.
For doing it that way.
Yes.
Seems pretty.
Do we have a sense of, are most people honest?
They are, in fact, because we looked at this recently for completely other reasons. I was actually surprised by this. I didn't want to look this number up. But we were tracking how many prints. So the IT department was tracking each print from all of the printers at the public computers. And then we compared that to the revenue in the register, and it was significantly above 90%. So most people who are printing come up and pay for the prints by the vast majority. Not even close. I was myself surprised by the number being as high as it is.
I assume there's signage near the computers that says,
Yeah.
says what exactly, like,
Oh.
you can print and please come up to the desk to pay? Is that basically?
I don't remember what it says. Yes.
Yeah, it says something like that,
So you just
like
do something-
the cost for the black and white, cost for the color, and then.
Oh, there you go, okay, so then something similar near the photocopy.
Correct. So the complexity comes. We have looked in the past for another vendor who would offer a similar deal to the sort of the sort of place the system on commission. This was the only company that was doing this in our area. So most companies are like, we're not doing that. So the fact that they're getting out of that business doesn't surprise me at all. But the coin box complicates the vote. So I would like to try it without that, and we will track revenues and prints, and if it's wildly separated, I'll be back and we'll have a different discussion about what we do. But that's,
So you need a new printer, you need a new.
yeah, and again, I probably will run the ones that I have, run them into the ground, why not? But eventually we'll not be able to, we're already having trouble, the supplier is already having trouble. But we can do our best to try to source until they.
So it's not like you could get a good, it's not like a used car. You can't necessarily sell those. You potentially could, but.
I
you're
would
not gonna get a
try,
whole lot.
but-
Yeah, got it.
That's,
So to move to the new system of asking the honor system, you need a new machine inside the library.
Yeah.
You'll be coming back at some point, asking the library, the trustees about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
right, I mean, if that's the way we want to move, I will get some quotes put together for that. The state, photocopiers are absolutely on state contract. We'll get that state contract price together for you. I'd like to try that. Gilderland, Phil's over here looking at me. This is the way that direction that Gilderland has moved in, and they're very pleased with the outcome. So.
I definitely feel like it's better to try that than to go to something with like a credit card. I mean, that's not gonna help people that really.
Well, we have that a little bit with the fax machine right now. And it's good that we offer fax services. The cards and the credit card complicate faxing way. I don't love it, but I'm happy to be involved.
So I had just one more question.
Yes.
So if we do it the way we're, you just on the honor system,
Yeah.
like you do with the printing. So the brownie troop comes in and they just wanna make a copy of a puppy, I don't know, from a book or something. So the front desk would still be able to accept 10 cents or
Yes,
whatever, the
Yep.
small amounts. Okay, all right.
and we've had good luck with people when they said they need a photocopy or even like a print. We say to people, they're like, I don't have any change. Bring it back next time you're in.
Yeah, okay. All right,
They
great.
come back in spades. So.
We were just finishing the photocopier
Yeah.
discussion. If you
Great.
had anything else you wanted to ask.
I sent some questions in.
I did, I sort of had answers on.
Okay.
Okay. I think I got where we're going.
They're being used, I think is the answer.
They
Yeah,
are.
yeah, definitely being used.
That's like, the short answer is they're being used, like, oh, yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, do you want to take over?
Okay.
So the next order of business is donations and naming rights.
I don't have stop sharing for a second, because I don't have anything in the. So we have been approached by a member of the community who donated in the past to the library, wants to continue donating and expressed some interest in what the library would want as far as donations were concerned, to have like the naming rights to a room, for instance. We said that we would bring that discussion here and at least get this discussion started so that we can think about what, is that a business that we're interested in being in? One, and two, if we were, what would that look like? What kind of dollars are we talking about for naming rights to various parts of the library? The other group that has expressed an interest in this is the Friends of the Library. They're great fundraising. They're the fundraising arm of the library, and they're doing a good job, and they're gathering a significant amount of money, and they're interested in making a capital donation towards the project. Whenever that is, they would like a carved out piece that they could fundraise for and towards. And I'm imagining that thing would also want naming rights for maybe the Friends of the Library or something like that. So in any case, is that a good enough explanation from where we were?
Right, so just as Jeff, Michelle, Chris and I met with the donor earlier. Last week, it was last week, yeah. Last week. We just wanted to toss around ideas on how, where the donation that is coming might be directed in terms of supporting families. So that was more, and so this question of naming rights came up as a kind of a supplemental conversation at the end.
Right.
Yeah, we had a conversation on this like a year ago, 2 years, maybe 3 years ago or something.
Yeah.
The question really is, I mean, my thoughts are, we should have a policy, should be a board policy. I am totally okay with naming rights to a point. We should, and I think we should toss around levels and type of, donation levels and what we're trying to go after, because we don't want to aim too low or too high. So that's, you got to find a sweet spot on that. So I mean, it's a public entity, so we should talk about how, I think we should have a public policy on it. And I think we should have a either some exploration about, with a fundraiser or something, and say how, how much can we get, or how much should we ask for certain different things. I'm not sure anyone here has the expertise, and so if I hope they do. I mean, if they did, they should come forward, but we should maybe talk about it as something like, okay, let's get someone in here that, talk to us about it. That's my thoughts.
I agree with everything that Mark just said. I guess I have a question about how we, within that policy, might have to, how we vet the name.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, a lot of people stand next to plaques that get them in trouble.
Right.
And there's a lot of money and groups and interest right now in books and whether, from a very political perspective. I don't think that's a concern with this particular donor, but I'm just saying that, especially if we're gonna have a building project and we're gonna say, hey, highest bidder, who wants to name the community room?
Yeah.
Which it doesn't sound like we're going to do, we would have a policy for it. I think that we would want to make sure that that doesn't have any strings attached or any baggage that we don't know about, and how it's gonna hold up in 50 years.
And are we doing individual, or doing corporate? We're doing for-profit, non-for-profit, like, and I think those all should be in the policy, so we can vet it and know what we're gonna be coming.
And I think that's
So
what,
like a great question.
right, the only thing we've dipped our toe ever in the past, you see the benches around. That's really the only example that I have. There's a few other.
Can we do the things, the little book things on the side there?
Yeah, and just.
Yeah, they're like, $1,000,
Right.
small dollar. Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it, because it only came up last week for me. I think we may have touched on it since I've been on the board, I'm not sure. And so I've kind of been just mulling, but not seriously. The donor was asking us, I believe, a number of times, how long will it take before the board makes a decision?
Yeah.
And we're saying like 3 months, 6 months, or a year, and it kept going on. So I finally just said flat out, check with Jeff in 6 months. Because I did not want the board to be pressured time-wise in terms of making a decision because of a request. And so we can always change that. But I also want to give folks time to, raise issues, mull. It's kind of end of the year. We have a lot on our plate. That's why I said we have a lot on our plate. We want to do a, capital project. I'm not sure where this would fit in. Is how I approached it. Donor. To some extent, and so what the general thoughts I've had since meeting with that person was, how many rooms do we have available to be named? So how scarce or full are the resources for this to go for? The whole idea of corporate, so basically people are buying a room or a space, which raises issues of with my dividend. So another thing that I would raise for the board, and I'm not saying we should do it or not, because I haven't put that much time in it. I'd like to have a full discussion board repeatedly, so we feel like everyone's comfortable with it when we go. So there's other ways of recognizing donors. Sometimes I see a lot of plaques from stuck on a wall, you know, donor level or in appreciation, and there's other ways of recognizing significant contributions to the library. So those are what's on my mind is, so now we have like, you know, Charmaine's Burger Joint plaque on top of a room, or we're doing individuals, and again, who has access to that and who doesn't, and how do we recognize formally, whether it's the friends or individuals or corporations or not-for-profits, significant contributions to the library. It's to me, it's part of a larger meta issue, and then the more smaller issues are, okay, are we talking about spaces? Are we talking about whatever? Are we talking about plaques? So that's what I've been thinking about since we met for the first.
So how do we weave that into a long-term plan? I mean, how do we weave that into a potential construction plan? I mean, one of the big questions that's gonna come up when if we bought something is what fundraising have you done? Right.
Well, we're not, and this is where it gets sticky, because we don't fundraise
Yeah.
as an organization. So even when we're meeting with donors, it's always like, people can give us money. Usually we'll accept money, but,
But, I mean, we had to change, obviously, we would not do that, I'm not suggesting that we would fundraise or run afoul of anything that a public entity would do. But I also know that in other libraries that that as part of building projects,
Yes.
spaces are named after individuals and families and foundations, and that happened in an upstanding way. And that we might want to
Yes.
consider that similar processes for our project as a way of, you know, considering, you know, how to defray other costs. Yeah.
I think it's not an ill-timed question, actually, that we're where we are. It's not a bad idea for us to have this conversation.
And in terms of the level of this particular donor, I think it's gonna be a cumulative donation. It's not like, but the bond and they're gonna use a chunk of the bond, you know, but, and I wasn't sure, I don't know, ask Lisa to maybe talk with Albert Hudson, and just get a better sense of how many libraries have this kind of, you know, thing, so.
A few other libraries have a policy, I'm guessing not a lot, but
Yeah.
there might be one or two.
Yeah, and a lot of the libraries are the nonprofit, they're the association libraries, and they have a whole different set of. So we'll look into that, I'll come back.
Did anyone else on the board have like initial thoughts or?
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, we have been benefiting for quite some time on these donations.
Yep.
This isn't the first time we've been asked about it,
Okay.
from at least two parties. I think that we shouldn't be much slower in moving forward on the issue, at least if it's under the policy committee or even creating another subcommittee to create a type of policy to with limitations.
Yep.
And to find that out, and I just did a cursory Google search and found all sorts of examples of how you can limit naming rights and prevent any negative results. So yeah, maybe we could move forward in some manner, continually move forward to get to a policy on it.
Well, I think the larger question is the board as a whole or a majority want to offer naming rights? That's the first question. Then there's a policy about it. Should we decide that? That's for me, I'm saying the larger question is, do you want to do it? Do we want to?
I would agree to, and I would add, if we're not gonna do it, we should have a policy that we're not gonna do it.
Okay,
Yeah, it's like, so we should be like, here's our public, because someone says, I want to give you $10,000 and I want to name, you know, all the gardens after my mother. And if we said, well, there's a policy that, you know, right, you know,
right. The larger decision is, are we gonna offer that? And then whatever we
do.
that decision is, then there'll be a policy about it.
So how do
We have tipped our, right, we have the benches. The benches are all done, I'm told, but
Yes, I mean, I don't know where I'd put it on the bench.
the other day, I mean, it's probably really inappropriate to put more benches, but yeah, but you have book, you can do book play, I mean, there's.
That, yeah, book plates happen much more common because that's more like $100 or $200.
For collection, I don't know, but so it sounds like, what I'm gonna suggest is that we keep it on the agenda.
Yep.
For subsequent meetings, it gives people time to think, so everyone knows it's coming up again.
Yes.
You know, so between now and January, think about like, what are your thoughts, and what if you, if anyone wants to do some research or. So, you know, what is the logic question, and then if there's gonna be a decision that, yes, we're gonna offer some kind of. Spatial naming rights onto, then we could kick to the policy committee or some other subcommittee, but the logic question is, should we do it?
I mean, I think one of the things that, if you're talking about space, obviously you get to a point where you've run out of space, so. You know, you're not revisiting, you're not, you know, so.
Right, you got
There's
the
that
got
piece as
15
well.
years of someone else gets updated, so the flag comes off and someone else's name goes on, yeah.
And that naming rights don't extend the natural life of the room project or whatever.
Yeah, so happens now, books, right? There's has a life.
I like the New York Public Library, you know, I get their uniform. It's a huge
Well,
difference. But they're effective. I mean, they are, you know, they're effective at what they do. At least it seems to be. I don't give money.
You got a whole bunch of those little rooms.
88 branches.
You study, you know, as opposed to like a lot of space or study room or something, you know. So again, I think it just will benefit from ongoing discussion.
So yeah, I agree. We should put it on the January agenda.
Got
Just think about it, and then we want to do some research and, you know, share research with each other, so. But it should be on the January agenda.
Okay, so we'll move that, so that gets moved to old business.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so then the next thing on the agenda is the Marshall and Sterling invoice, page 25.
Well, this is, okay, you can look at the details of the invoice if you like. So this is basically a prepaid healthcare invoice. There are some expenses for healthcare that we need to prepay for the year. They are typically the flex spending, the HRA accounts. Like the flex spending accounts are funded. They're not money from the library. We collect them from the employees and pay ourselves back throughout the year. But because they're available 100% on January 1st to the employee, we have to pre-fund them. So there's no way for us to get this bill from them because open enrollment just happened at the end of November. There's no way for us to get this in front of you under our normal bill cycle. So because it's over my authorization limit, I have to come here and ask you to authorize me to pay these fees for our healthcare program.
Does this recognize the open end closure of the enrollment? So this is the people that are in this.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the period happened and now it's.
So this is a high watermark. There, Tracy is in conversations with them right now about like the dependent care, because the dependent care isn't available to them.
Okay.
Right away, we're talking about whether we have to refund that. So this amount would only be lower than it is today, but take this as a high watermark for what we're gonna pay them, but we have to get that invoice out before January 1st.
And it would all be paid back throughout 2020.
Not all of these things are paid back. So, so for instance, that the flex spending, the big expense there is flex spending, HRA funding. But like the retiree free fee pre-fund is $250 a month, we have to pay that. The inpatient administration, they have to administer our plans for inpatient hospitalization. The employee navigator, that's the online sign up form. We're not getting that back. But you can see there's one large number and a bunch of relatively small numbers. The large number, the retiree fees are coming back to us and the flex spending numbers are coming back. Thank you. Is that everything? But
No,
the vast majority.
I get back the navigator.
No.
Okay, any other questions? All right, so I need a motion to accept the invoice on page 25 for retirement benefits.
It's a healthcare,
Healthcare.
pre-funding healthcare, our healthcare program.
I'll make a motion that we accept the invoice on page 25 for the refunding of the benefits.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Any other new business?
This is another question. When do we start talking about contract. Is that?
I have reached out, so we're, the contract committee is, negotiation committee, we're already in contact with our attorney. So we're moving on our side of things. I've reached out to the president of the union and said, we are ready to begin our pre-talks. We're ready to get ready, and they have, not answered me back yet about that,
So do we get an update from that, like every month?
you'll get an update from that, more than you want as we go through.
So it's like so it'll be old business in January. Contract negotiation, something that's gotta be.
I mean,
listed
If,
We'll see.
Yeah.
Old business.
if there's anything to report, right now,
It should be at least.
List of what they want, the negotiation points, they come up with the new. Then I think that would be new business.
negotiations haven't started.
Right.
But I've signaled our willingness to begin the process, so we're all set from our side.
The thing I wanted to bring up was the UHLS recommendation that we join the book ban organization.
Oh, right.
It's not
I
a
didn't
big
quite
deal.
catch what you heard.
The book ban
Okay.
organization that UHLS recently did and encouraged libraries to do it as well.
Want to put that on new business for next
And I
month?
think,
Okay.
We circulate, I think they sent something that's kind of buried in the emails, I think.
yeah,
Maybe we circulate that if you can.
Really big article today.
The anti.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, there's some position or something, and so just sure we can get it back up into our top of the email pile and.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other new business, we'll move on to old business, personnel committee.
No, real report, that was the minutes that we approved before. We are moving forward with the director evaluation, which will be annual from now on. We're just in the first round, first year of this kind of more structured process. Where we are is that Jeff will receive the summary of the board's perspective shortly, and then he will be releasing his goals. So I'll send out an email people to expect Jeff's goals that he's worked on, and then after there'll be a executive session after the January meeting for us to engage in just kind of a discussion that will end the process. For this year, that will happen in January, where we discuss Jeff's goals and any other discussion people want to have based on the narrative that he will be receiving. Anything else that?
No, that's. Sure.
Any other old business? No future business,
I'm sorry.
no future business.
Well, there's always future business. Well, future business, I'm gonna put another plug in for Thursday's meeting with Ashley McGraw, available on the website, if you don't want to come here and join us live.
Okay,
We'll be in person, they'll be virtual, so it'll be a hybrid meeting, but they'll be on the screen.
oh, okay.
Nothing you have to prepare.
Just bring yourself and your good ideas. Oh, yeah.
All right, can we check one more time, see if there was any public
You
participation?
bet.
I actually think those meetings are very fun. They are, it's a very much a give and take. They want to hear, they're good. And I've worked with these architects before, and it is really a time for us to start voicing our opinion as representative of the public, and then.
Nope, no other comments.
Okay. All right, then, I need a motion to adjourn the meeting of December 12th.
So moved.